If you are a new and returning player to Hearthstone, you may have noticed that you get to play with 6 different decks for 7 days, and you get to pick one to keep at the end of those 7 days. The main question is, which one should you pick? Hello, it's Jonas here, and in this video I hope to make your decision easier by going through each deck's playstyle, as well as bang for your buck in terms of legendaries and epics you are receiving to add to your collection. So going through the deck list here, we start with Mage. Mage is a deck that aims to play with the new Fable legendary, Sindragosa, that allows you to have your arcane spells cost 2 less, as well as your arcane spells costing twice if you manage to play down both dragons, and then resummon them with Azure Oathstone. You basically can copy your dragons as well with buy one get one freeze, which gets discounted by watercolor artists. Basically, this deck's playstyle is a combo-oriented deck. You stall for the early game, drawing your minions, drawing your cards early on until the late game, where you manage to play out your dragons, have them resummoned, and go for the win with Stellar Balance that gives you a Moonfire and Starfire, which both deal damage to the opponent. I would say this deck isn't that powerful, but it can be fun if you like the combo type playstyle. So I'd say I rate this probably not so highly of the decks. The next deck is Paladin, and as you can see here, there's 6 legendaries here, but you'll notice actually that 3 of these legendaries, Bob the Bartender, Marin the Manager, and Anachronos, are all free legendaries. You're receiving 3 legendaries here, Gelbin or Tomorrow, and Sondaf Savin and Lesnessa as Paladin legendaries, and Azavius as a neutral legendary. So the value here is pretty high. I'd say this deck is pretty close to a meta version of Aura Paladin. Basically, your power turn is playing Gelbin on 8, being able to get that out, and putting out one of each of your auras from your deck into the battlefield. You have other ways to stall and play your minions out early. So I would say this is probably one of the top picks for the ladder ready decks. For Shaman, you get Turbulus and Mirrodin High King, both pretty decent legendaries. Turbulus is a deck building legendary by itself, being able to give you hunter cards via the tourist mechanic. So that's why you have bird watching in this deck, for example. The rest of the deck is pretty cheap. You only have the one epic from Stormrook, the rest is rares and commons. But Mirrodin itself is a quite powerful legendary that gives you those 2 extra favorable cards in terms of High King's Hammer and Amador Fallen. I'd say this deck list could use some work, but it is not that bad value for legendary value. This type of deck, you're basically buffing up your Fluxed Revenants and using your nature spells on your Stormrook to summon multiple 5-cost minions. So if you like that style deck, where you are sort of playing minions out and doing stuff with spells to summon extra minions on the board or buffing them up, then this could be the deck for you. Warlock has 2 legendaries, Summoner Dark Marrow, which is a Death Knight Taurus, allowing you to play Death Knight cards in your deck from Perils in Paradise, and Party Planner Vona, which honestly is not the fastest of legendaries, it's a pretty slow legendary. I'd say this deck is probably, it's not that close to a meta deck. It is trying to be an aggressive deck with cards that shuffle shreds of time into your deck, which deal damage to you when they're drawn. But the main upside is that you can destroy or draw these shreds of time and get a big 7/7 like a Fate Breaker for 4 mana. I'd say this deck is not that good on the value, and it's also not that good on the meta, so it would be one of the lower picks. Demon Hunter, you get Broxigar, which is the Demon Hunter Fable legendary, and Eternal Hold, which is not that bad of a location. So definitely this deck has no minions, it just has cards that summon minions. I'd say the value on this is not as high as I'd say as the Paladin deck, for example. But if you like giving yourself a lot of hero power attack and summoning minions that attack enemies and drawing cards and stuff like that. And also pumping out a Broxigar, which is a 2-mana 12/12. If you like to go aggressive, then this could be the deck for you. But the Hunter deck is also a deck that also likes to go aggressive with face damage. And I'd say this deck has two great legendaries with Ranger General Sylvanas, the Fable legendary, with her sisters as well in the deck, and Neri, which will synergize with 1-cost minions and 1-cost spells. You have some good epics with Precise Shot and Mixologists, and this deck has a lot of spell damage in terms of damage that can go face with spells, as well as minions that can attack as well, or deal damage to random enemies, depending on how many beasts that you have. This deck is slightly different to this one. I'd say Hunter is more pure face damage using spells and minions, whereas the Demon Hunter deck is a bit more nuanced in how it wants to discover minions and reduce the cost of the minions that are discovered. So my overall ratings would be Paladin number 1, Shaman number 2 probably, Hunter number 3, and Demon Hunter number 4, Mage number 5, and Warlock number 6. That would be the approximate ratings that I have. So go with those ratings if you really want to go for the maximum dust value for your collection. Otherwise, pick a deck that you enjoy playing because you're going to be playing with it a lot. You can always try these decks for the first 7 days that you have them and then decide afterwards. Hopefully that made your choice easier, and I'll see you in my next video. If you liked the video, the gameplay, or just the ideas I talked about, go ahead and leave a like. And maybe you can subscribe so you know when I release videos like this in the future.